Elle,
Blake.
welcome to the podcast. You need to talk really close to it. All right, like an inch and a half away.
Can we start again?
No, we can't. Remember that time I called you Coxie thinking your surname was Cox?
I know.
Cook.
Yeah.
Coxie's got a good, nice, familiar ring to it, though.
Kind of sounds like a lifesaver.
Sure. I haven't had lifesavers for so long. Do you know when I did a 24-hour event, I actually was hallucinating. It would have been like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I started thinking
On
about...
what?
Just hallucinating from like a 24-hour fitness event.
Oh, right.
And I started hallucinating, because you do when you sleep deprived, you haven't slept. And I started thinking about TikTok biscuits.
Oh,
Do you
the
even know
pink
what they are?
ones. Do the pink ones,
Yeah.
the circle.
Yep. They got times on them.
Do you even know? I hate it when people say that.
Yeah, but think about the gap between you and I. It's solid.
Do you even know
It's a
what they
lifetime.
are? Brutal.
Savage. We're actually not here to talk about TikTok biscuits. What we are here to talk about is ayahuasca, which every time I say it differently. Every time. Ayahuasca. I don't know, and I feel like we're being a little bit disrespectful to the plan and to all the shamans. How would you
Yeah.
like to say it?
Ayahuasca?
Sure.
I'm going to roll with that.
Yeah.
It just kind of rolls off the
Feels
tongue.
right, doesn't it?
It does feel right.
All right. Before we get started about our journey, we actually need to pull up the meaning or what it is.
I feel like more what it is, because people keep on getting, like, people keep asking me, so how much DMT did you take?
Yep.
And they're kind of more interested in the, I guess, what the ratio is.
Interesting.
That's what I got asked.
Yeah. So, for y'all tuning in, ayahuasca, as we like to pronounce it, is essentially DMT mixed with Amazonian plants. We should have done our research before. That was a horrible explanation.
No, but where we
ayahuasca is.
went had
That's
both.
different. Yeah.
They're two different plants.
Yeah. So, yeah. We haven't done it justice at all, and I did warn you that we should know our homework. How does it work? The main ingredients of ayahuasca are Banisteropyrus capri and Cytovirish virinidish. Both have hallucinogenic properties. So one's DMT, which is a powerful hallucinogenic chemical, and the other is a plant.
But they're both plants.
They're both plants.
Yes, just to...
So DMT, cannot pronounce it, so won't. Do you know how to pronounce it?
No.
Nah, no idea. Is known as the spirit molecule, which is essentially tapping into your higher level of awareness, consciousness, spirit, higher self.
Is that the one that actually unlocked the...
That's what unlocked
Yes.
everything.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
which one did we take first? Do you remember?
So, no.
Okay. Are you going to go through like an analogy of like how it started?
Yeah. So we need to be slightly sensitive to this topic because it's illegal in Australia.
And it's also very sacred.
It's very sacred.
It's a medicine.
It's a medicine.
And it has to be respected.
Can you come into picture a little bit more without knocking our glasses of red wine over, please? See how
Is that
you...
better?
That's
Yeah.
better. So we need to preface everything with we are very respectful of the plant. And I had a couple of shamans reach out to me who I'm friends with on social media. A shaman is a facilitator, essentially.
Good
I reckon.
word.
Like it?
Yeah.
She is the facilitator of the ceremonies, the plant-based medicine, whatever it might be. So I had a couple of shamans reach out and go, Blake, I'm not sure about how much you're talking about this.
I also got one person.
One person reached out to you as well. So we need to preface everything by saying that we are extremely respectful.
Yeah.
And I also am in two minds of like, I want to share the experience because everyone asks. I'm not going to say everyone asks. That's a lie. You know, when on social media, everyone's like, oh, so all my followers have been asking where I got the socks from. They're actually from David Jones. Like, that chat. I fucking hate it.
It's like you can't put however many.
And not everyone's asking.
200 people.
Not everyone's asking.
Say that everyone's in that bowl.
Yep. One person might have asked. Don't claim everyone's been asking where your socks are from. You're lying.
I'm so glad that you caught yourself.
So let me rephrase that. A couple of people have asked about the experience. So part of me obviously wants to be super respectful of the plant. Actually, all of me wants to be respectful. But the shamans go about showing respect in different ways, often being quiet about it. Yeah. And I respect that, and I'm totally understanding of it. And I'm also, as I said to a couple of shamans, I'm also very open about my different adventures and hoping that they can help other people.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately...
That's what we're here for.
The medicine, why our intentions were.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's actually quite scary. Well, no, I rephrase that. It was really fucking scary.
Yes. There's heaps of different ways to have fun, and I wouldn't put this in the fun category.
No. I've taken a fair few substances in my time.
Yeah.
Never psychedelics, like just never been like kind of interested in that.
Yeah.
But from a young age got very openly like exposed.
Yes, you did.
And that's definitely hands down the most scariest experience.
So, that's good that you say that.
So it's not something that you just take lightly. I think that's what you're trying to get across.
Yeah. Despite being pretty open about it, it's definitely not for everyone. And it's one of those things you wait till you feel called to, as spiritual and hippie as that sounds.
Yeah.
Wait till you are like, I'm ready for this. If someone tries to nudge you into it, do not do it.
Or if you overthink it.
Yeah.
I feel like if you go, well, that's maybe something that my journey's taken me on.
Yes.
It's not necessarily like, let's sit down and write a journey plan and say,
good call.
I want to go to ayahuasca.
Great
ayahuasca
call.
will... Mother ayahuasca.
Mother ayahuasca. So, there's heaps of different plant-based medicine you can do. And by the time you guys have heard this, you would have heard me talk in episode number 3 about with Lex, who you are now besties with, about San Pedro. And that is a very blissful experience compared to ayahuasca. You haven't done San Pedro yet.
But I have the plan.
You've got the plan. The plans. She's got the plan.
Did I send you that photo?
Yep. It's pretty trippy. So the plant is a cactus.
Yeah. It's actually a really pretty cactus.
It is.
I really like it.
But you're not allowed to take it on your flight home.
No. So I've got my girlfriend who's...
driving her plant.
No, driving my plane in her Prada. She's bought a big Prada.
God bless her.
I know. So she's stopping off at the Gold Coast just
to drop the plan off.
Drop the plan off, which I actually bought it more in the sense, obviously, when we were at the shaman's place, he had amazing plants, and I kind of felt like what he gave us and like the amount of just like he was there for us from start to go. And I feel like we all kind of had a connection with him through different ways. And I just felt like I've never felt so much like unconditional, like no judgment, love and respect from a human that I kind of actually, because he was like, oh yeah, they cost however much.
Yeah.
And I was like to Ash, I was like, do you want one? Like, because I kind of just wanted to give him more like money, but without being disrespectful.
Totally get it. Totally understand.
Because what he gave us was like such an awakening, and like I could never change it for the world. You can never redo it either.
Yeah. What Elle's saying might sound smallish unless you were there and unless you've experienced the other end. So I went to Byron and did ayahuasca there,
Have you told many people about this experience?
No. Because it was retarded. So I went, and there would have been 20 people in the room.
Yeah.
And I was an anxious mess. And those that know me, every now and then I have my little moments. But as a general rule of thumb, like anxiousness and me aren't in the same sentence. And it flipped me out.
And I totally understand why.
Yeah. So coming into this second experience with our shaman, I was about to use his name, but probably best we don't.
Yeah, no.
I was pretty nervous purely based on my first one, but knowing that
you got really nervous.
I was so nervous. Do you remember?
In the car ride, I remember I was like, let's just like vibe it out. It's all right.
Yeah.
Like you don't understand. We have to be serious. We got to respect the medicine. I was like, yeah, but
I was being real serious with you.
I was like, where are we going and what are we doing?
Yes. And it's so much better that you didn't know everything.
Yeah, definitely. That's my one advice. Don't research till the end of dawn.
Yeah.
If you do feel it calling.
If you feel calling, just do. Do a little bit.
Maybe listen to a podcast. I like those.
Go to Aubrey Marcus and study his podcast around it because he talks about it regularly.
I think I just listened to 2 and that was enough.
Yeah. I listen to a lot. But I reckon if you went to Google and the first thing you typed in, there'd be some horror story about it.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what my mum said. She was like, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. Flipped her over just after her hearing my experience. And she goes, that's exactly what you needed.
Yes, you did need that. An outsider who hasn't done their research will think about the horror stories. But the reality with ayahuasca is it's been around for thousands of years, well before your shitty pharmaceutical companies came in and took over. And in the big scheme of things, those pharmaceutical companies and the drugs that they are providing are killing a shitload more people than ayahuasca and the scary stories that you hear.
And not to mention everything non-pharmaceutical.
True that.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it's the like standard social conditioning scare tactics that ayahuasca. Someone might have heard a story about someone getting caught in a trip or some weird shit like that.
Like anything. You
It's not
Google
real.
anything, the
both
negative
sides.
comes up
Totally.
first. No one talks about the positive.
No.
Isn't that funny? Like in news, I don't watch TV anymore for that reason.
I hate the news.
I refuse.
It's no good for you. Just scare tactics and fear mongering. Don't watch the news ever. Have you ever Googled your name? I think when I Google my name, bad shit comes up initially.
I'm
Not bad, just breakups.
I'm lucky I'm not that known.
Good. Stay that way.
100% want to stay that way.
Yeah, carry on. So how it played out, we travelled north.
Do you want to first go back to like how you even came across the plant?
True.
So I'm intrigued about that.
Yep, I will. Remember to stay nice and close and talk loudly.
Sorry.
So how I came across it, my little journey has been, I don't even know what spiritual means, I'll be honest.
I don't know either.
But we don't have to. But my spiritual world has opened up over the last 3 years. And 2 things I've noticed in the spiritual world. One's plant medicine. The second is open relationships. We've spoken a lot about open relationships, which we find fascinating. And while at this point in time I'm not into that, I am fascinated.
Well, you have to be in a relationship first.
That's true. That's a really valid point. I forgot about that really key ingredient. You need to be in a relationship to test the waters on the open relationship side of things. And I'm not. So that would play a role in why I'm not really delving too deep into it.
But how did this, like, who opened you up to it? Was it Aubrey?
Nah, it was before Aubrey. So it was a guy called Dane Thomas, and I did his course 2 years ago called Spiral, which is spiral dynamics, very much energetic, spiritual, emotional work. And these were the 2 recurring themes of like, they're all in polygamy, open relationships. We'll just go with that. It's easier.
Yeah. We don't want to.
And they've done so much plant medicine. I was like, okay.
Is it similar to Tantra? Spiral?
Tantra, no, but Tantra's big in that space as well.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah. So it was more a retreat or it was a workshop?
It was a workshop.
Yeah.
So I got my certificate of
Spiraling. I don't even know what that means though.
It's all right. I'll show you one day. It's wild.
So you got a certificate in being spiritual?
Yes.
That's sick.
I got a certificate in being woke. My woke certificate.
.com.
.com. So that was my first real eye-opener of that, like 2.5, 3 years ago. I went and did San Pedro last January, Feb with a couple of people.
And you only done that once, hey?
Yeah. Done that, then did a heart cacao ceremony.
Because I feel like people should know, though, that you haven't actually done, like, you haven't had a big history of, like...
Drugs.
Yeah.
I should just own it while I'm on here now. I've done marijuana twice.
I love that.
And the second time, which I explained with Alexis, I greened out so hard that I fell asleep in my mate's mum's veggie patch.
I can probably beat that
Which
story,
I'm sure other people can understand. Yeah, I'm sure people can raise the bar on that. And then I've tried Coke twice. Which even that, me being honest and open on here, which is just the nature of the beast, that was only in the last couple of years.
Yeah. I'm the opposite.
And you've done everything from an early age and probably heading away from it slowly but surely.
I'm like the opposite now. Like when I'm out,
Yeah.
which I did go out on the weekend,
Yeah.
I stay so far clear.
Yeah. I used to have judgment around people that do that stuff. Now I don't.
I don't have any judgment. I've just like been there, done that.
Yeah.
Know what it's like?
I don't understand the need to do it every weekend, but
It's such a
their
Sydney
own
thing.
Yeah. It's a Sydney thing.
Well,
in Adelaide, they don't do it.
In Queensland, they definitely do it, but they're like, I think they're just a little bit more cautious. Like people have like want to do other things, whereas in Sydney, it's like, that's cool.
Cool's a fascinating word.
Isn't it?
I remember an ex-girlfriend talking about someone being cool, and I was like, this is the most uncool conversation I've ever had. Cool doesn't exist after like 19 years of age. It's not a thing.
No.
It's not cool. Don't talk about being cool or what's cool after 19 years of age. Otherwise, you're out.
I 100% agree. But what is cool is your necklace.
Thank you.
We did
Katie Willie, shout out.
Yes.
To my girl who gave this to me on episode number 1.
It's so memorable.
And I missed it when I did Lex's interview podcast episode. Every other one I've worn it. Meditation beads.
Yep. I have meditation beads, but mine got given to me and they don't look as cool as yours. So Katie, I'm
shout out,
jealous.
girl. You did well. You did real well. I'm going to wear it every episode. We got sidetracked slightly and that's fine. So that's how I got into plant medicine.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in a couple of things. One, if I'm going to preach about it, if I can do it first, don't talk about something you're not prepared to do yourself, ever, as a coach.
In general.
In life.
You can't.
Don't talk about something if you're not going to do it.
No.
If you're going to tell someone to get fit, fucking get fit yourself. Don't talk about it.
Amen.
Amen. Love and adventure.
Yes.
And...
you're a little bit wild inside as well.
yeah. I actually am. And at different times in my life, I've had to tame it. Just doesn't feel right.
But then you can go very serial.
Yeah. Yeah. The rebellious wild streak is actually strong. And I think I'll just have it for life. And I think I need to use it to my advantage. You know, like the Richard Bransons of the world, they're all like rebellious.
Well, if you follow the straight line, you don't find those epic...
Nah.
Well, it doesn't have to be a success, just maybe like an epiphany.
Agreed. Just do you. All wild and everything, I reckon. That's my opinion.
And don't be judged on yourself.
True that. Agreed. When I got that call of you're an awakened rebel, I was like, that really pulled at my heartstring.
Did it pull at your ego string?
It pulled at my ego string as well. It's like, fuck, that feels good.
I think we should just cheers to that.
Cheers. That was a couple of weeks ago and it felt really good. Really good for the ego.
Can we
I don't think I'm awakened.
Can we brand that?
I'm going to... tonight, I'm going to buy the domain, theawakenedrebel.com.
I feel like I had the idea, but
You can buy the .com.au.
yeah. No. I feel like it's we need to like put on a t-shirt too.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Because what's big at the moment, which I think is lame, but that's me being judgmental, is woke AF. I've seen that, and I'm like, if you're wearing that, you're not woke.
Who's seen? Where? There's a
I've seen a
brand
lot
doing
of
it, or
Yep.
what?
I've seen it everywhere.
I haven't. I'm not that awoke that I haven't seen
Clearly,
it.
not in the woke circles. But they're lame, and you don't do that, I reckon.
Is it the spiritual realm?
It's the people trying to be spiritual.
Right. It's that in between.
The in-betweeners.
I'd have to say I'm an in-betweener though.
Yeah. You're on you're on the path.
Yeah. I feel like everything's a little bit fresh.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is exciting.
Including your plant medicine experiences are still fresh. Because we're only 2 weeks post. 3 weeks. 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Definitely 3, if not a month.
Yeah.
No, 3. We'll
3
go
weeks. So this is how it plays out. There's shamans in Australia. A few of them floating around. Because it's illegal, they call it a tea ceremony.
Yeah.
So,
Which is what it is.
which is essentially what it is in a very roundabout way. It's tea. It doesn't taste great. Don't think of peppermint or chamomile when you're thinking about this because you're on the wrong page. It tastes like shit. Absolute shit.
And it's got a texture to it too.
Oh, woody? A woody texture?
Earth.
Earthy. It's fucking horrible. But you just knock it back. And then we got a little bit of green tea or something.
Prior to this though, I hadn't even met you.
Oh, that was a big bit.
Yeah.
That was
Which was
significant.
the hardest bit for me, I think, going into
You really
a
struggled to
trip.
get your head around that bit.
I really struggled because Blake obviously was my not obviously, he was my coach for
12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Give or take a bit of extra time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I kind of felt like we spoke so much that I knew you as a human,
Yep.
but I didn't know you as a person.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't know,
Totally.
but I'm just going to claim that.
I know. That's exactly right. But that's the same. Like, I interviewed Stevie and Tay.
Yeah. Had you met them before?
Hadn't met them.
Yeah, because they were a part of our
They were
group.
clients as well. Amazing.
And are you still doing one now?
No, I'm doing lots of one-on-ones at the moment.
Yeah.
So not a group thing. But
Yeah.
this is like, I'm not sure how I feel about it as a way of the future. Because we had a good connection, but we just hadn't had a good connection in person. So when I came to pick we had a good connection, but not a good connection in person because we hadn't met by that stage.
We did have a good connection in person. It wasn't that we didn't.
Well, we hadn't met in person.
Well, yeah, it was just unknown.
So we
it
had
wasn't
good
that
yeah.
It wasn't that we didn't have one.
Yeah. We had a connection, just hadn't met each other in person.
Yeah.
Which is weird when you
Well,
think
it was
about
more weirder for me, I think, because you knew a lot about me. I cried
That's
to
true.
you the first time I ever spoke to you. I was like in
did.
tears and I never cry. Well, I don't know that I never cry, but very rare.
Softened up.
No, I was just so emotional and had so much anxiety.
It was good.
And then I was like, yep, I don't know what you're doing. I don't even know what I'm signing up for, but I just kind of need it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily as a coach, but just more as a human to talk to.
Yeah. Neck minute. Completely changed in 4 months.
So changed.
Completely changed. But,
Still the same.
yes. And how it kind of came about was I posted it to our group saying that I was going to do it. I think this is how it played out. And
Yeah.
I said, if anyone feels the call into it, to holler at your boy and we'll organise it together. But I was like, do your research, lean into it. Definitely don't let me persuade you. I'm a big believer in it, but do your own research.
I kind of put you into the shaman with that. I have to apologise.
You throw me under the bus.
Kind of. Because the shaman had said to me when we were at the ceremony, I remember him going, so why are you here? And I go, I want to work through my inner child, like a lot of trauma, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And then he goes, oh, so how did you hear about us? And I was like, Blake. And then I didn't realise, but then you had to go on a spiel on you had to backpedal
That's right. Real quick.
And I never thought about it until this moment, but I actually never apologised.
No, you didn't. You threw me under the bus and you waved. Get out of that one, buddy.
And then
Bus.
you handled it really well. And then you were like, because you didn't want to say that you had done it because your experience was so, and I totally respect that and I understand that. But then you ended up opening up because hands down, we had the sickest shaman. You can't come better than
he. We can call him a he. It makes the world of difference.
And you would know.
I would know because I have been in a room where there's 20 people and I was an anxious mess. And the shaman, nice enough guy last time, up in Queensland hinterlands, but the energy was just not right. And with something like this where you need to like fully surrender and relax completely, if the feeling of the room isn't right, it's a shocker. So they were like worlds apart, the difference in the feeling between the Byron experience and the most recent one. And full credit goes to him because the whole experience literally is down to how he makes you feel.
And I'd also say, like, did you, when you went into the Byron, like, it would have just been in a big, kind of like area, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
Because there were so many people.
Yeah, but not big. We were so
that's right.
tight.
It wasn't big. But ours was like a full-on hectic home.
Yeah.
And I would live there. Like, that's how, it was pretty intense and amazing.
It was intense. It was small, but it was perfect size for 3 people.
Yeah.
Which is what we had.
Yeah. It was kind of like a camp school sleepover.
Yeah.
That went wrong.
Very similar. That at different stages went very different to how a camp sleepover might play out.
And you weren't worried about me. You were worried about Ash.
I was worried about Ash initially, who was the third person.
Who actually came on my retreat. That's how that happened.
That's how she came into it.
Yeah.
So she was very, and I'm sure she's all right with me saying.
She's so fine.
Yeah. She's very kind of jumpy and she had really nervous energy. And I was like.
She doesn't have, I think you probably feel it the wrong way because you were nervous. So that was coming across from
Really?
hers. Well, because you kept on saying to me, you were like, we just got to be calm when we go in. But really, humans know how to react to certain situations.
You thought she was calm.
No, but what I'm saying is her and a shaman
Yes.
did have like, I think
They had a funny, weird click.
they had a really deep connection.
Yeah.
And at the start I was like, I thought to myself, I was like, this is actually, because she's done a lot of, Reiki, her family's quite spiritual.
Yeah.
They had this like kind of quirky, like kind of connection that was kind of special. But I think where the nervousness was coming from was because you didn't want to like piss this guy off.
No.
Which is fair enough because I totally understand that because you were the organizer, like kind of like
True.
low key.
Yeah. I was trying to keep a low profile. And I thought at one point that she was a little bit OTT, and that's fine. But I was
judgment.
There was obviously judgment. Mainly because I organised it and I didn't want it to be reflective of me.
Yeah.
Which is a selfish thing.
But would have been reflective of me, really.
We would have both felt it.
Yeah. But I wasn't worried.
No, I know you weren't.
Because deep down I knew that our shaman was just...
He was chilled.
He was the one.
Yep. He was so comfortable. He was so reassuring. He was so non-judgmental. And all 3 of us came in from very different angles, really.
But can we just say... So when we got in there, it was just like a home. And I was like... Where have we turned up to? Like
you did.
I was a little bit shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what I envisioned. I think I more envisioned a farm or an open like space, like quite a large space. But it was a really kind of cozy environment. I remember we walked in there, and he goes, "So are you guys like Bondi yoga people?"
Yeah, that was funny. That was good by him. That was real good.
That was great.
He thought you were a Bondi yoga person.
Yes.
Yeah,
I loved
like
that. I loved that. That was
one of the highlights
funniest
of
thing.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a solid no.
Yeah. His humour was so dry, but he was so spot on.
It wasn't dry. It was actually hilarious.
He nailed that.
He nailed that, and I think
you were in your
knew.
actor, you were in your Bondi. You weren't in your Bondi. You were in your yoga like kit.
But I wear that
24/7.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah, that's you.
comfort. But that's really big because my mum was a personal trainer, so she grew up wearing activewear.
And now that's
She
what you do.
Well, she doesn't actually even like kind of own any other clothes.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
it wasn't like a, yeah,
Yeah. That was funny.
that was so good.
So we got there so the difference one of the differences with ayahuasca and San Pedro is San Pedro is a day ceremony. You start at like 11-ish, and by the time you kind of come out of your trip, it's 6 or 7 p.m. Ayahuasca's a night one, so you kind of start when the sun goes down, and I think we probably wrapped up about 12:31. In the past, I think the one in Byron wrapped up at about 2-ish. So we got there at 4, and we essentially had 2 hours to kind of settle in.
I remember thinking, I was like, why are we going so early? Like, you picked me up so early, and I was like, this is like, what could he possibly? And by the time we got there, I think we got there a little bit, we got there just on 4. We spoke from that on, and honestly, I wish it was longer.
Yeah. He really like set the mood. He gave us a full history, the full rundown, made us so comfortable.
Because you were more nervous before.
Yeah.
I got nervous when I got there. Like, I was like, oh my God, like this is actually going to happen. Like, it was kind of more before that. I was like, this is just where I have to go. Like, I didn't really think too much into it.
Yeah.
But then when I got there, and then he was like, so why are you here?
Yeah. Set your intentions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we all did, and we kind of spoke about them, and we had a good chat, and it really like was the difference between a good experience and not so good. And then he took us out the back. He's got his ayahuasca plant there. He's got cactuses. He's got Tibetan skulls. He's got the works.
But
and gave us.
Wait, hold on. The actual ayahuasca tree, that's not in many other places.
No.
That you can actually drink from and then have the chance to go sit under it or even be near it, because in the Amazon in Peru, he said that it's so far deep in the jungle, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
That you can't, like, they export it out
Yep.
and then they have a ceremony somewhere else. So you don't actually get to be connected with Mother Ayahuasca.
Mother Ayahuasca. Spot on. Nailed it. So he has the plant out the back, and because these shamans are very good at talking to their plants. Sounds weird unless you're a shaman or unless you spend lots of time in this space and then you understand it. He is of the belief that his ayahuasca plant only services 80 people a year. So he's very mindful of how many people he has, things like that. And
so he does it every Friday, and he has
Friday.
3 people.
Yeah. Have we done the numbers on that?
Yeah, we did do it in the numbers.
Yeah. We know it's about 80. So we get there, we hang out, we learn about cactus, we learn about Tibetan skulls, we learn about the ayahuasca tree. He gives us a rundown on the medicines. And he is a big believer that a lot of the vomiting actually comes from the amount of liquid you consume as opposed to the strength of it. So his approach is to really like concentrate it down to a shot level of like 30 to 50 mils maybe, instead of 150 mils he reckons that the others take.
I remember Lex going to me, she was like, be prepared, you're going to purge. And I was
like, purge is the term used.
And I didn't actually purge at all. And I remember Lex being like, after it, she's in NY, but she was like, how did it go? Blah, blah, blah. Like, did you vomit heaps? And it was like shocking to people that you did.
Tiny bit.
The smallest. Yep. After eating though.
Nah, just before I ate.
Just before.
I had a little purge.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I think it was the smell of the food because I was so fucking hungry because we hadn't eaten all day that I finally purged.
We did have a little naughty banana bread.
It's true, we did actually. You're right.
We can't lie.
No, don't lie, because Mother Ayahuasca will.
I had a big breakfast, and then just they say not to eat. You can't eat mainly just plant-based food, so just no meat and like. In the week or the lead up to it. I'm not entirely sure what the whole vegetarian thing is, but essentially these plants do their best work when your digestive system is light, clean,
and very veggie based.
I'm going to be honest, mine wasn't that light and clean. I'm just wondering if that's why I got
Nailed. That's why I got nailed. You didn't learn your lesson. Next time.
next time.
So we get the full scoop down between 4 and 6. We're feeling super comfortable. Our shaman comes through with our first dosage. We still can't work it out, even though he told us like fucking 7 times.
I think I wrote it down, but
there's two dosages. So the first one we think had a little bit of DMT and a lot of ayahuasca.
Apparently that opened up the liver.
Yeah. So essentially DMT does its best work when you open up your liver of some sort.
They say, the enzyme.
Some kind of enzyme.
We'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. But he put a little bit of DMT in the first one because he said it's important to open that up so that you get the full experience. So take the first 30, 40 mils, whatever it is, pretty much on 6 o'clock when the sun goes down.
Wait, sorry, can I just interrupt?
Of course you can. Go.
And just say that we actually had a ceremony before, which I actually found...
We did. Sorry.
You jumped the gun.
I know.
You got too excited.
I know.
But we had a beautiful ceremony where we all held hands.
We did.
Went boy, girl. And the shaman just kind of said his gratitude towards the plant, towards the native people on the land. And he said someone else, which I don't remember what their name was, but it was someone that was he was calling upon to look over us. And I remember in that, and he said, made us do 3 arms, which before I ever, I'm very new to all of this, especially even pre me studying yoga. I didn't really practice. I went to a few retreats that my dad had given to me. My dad loved yoga, but I was more in the fitness realm. And I remember just feeling the vibrations so much stronger within just our circle.
Good vibes.
Such good vibes. And it made me feel comfortable going into it.
Yeah.
And then I remember when we took it, and then he'd give you just the tiniest bit of tea just to wash it down. But that is not wanting to go down. I look at Blake. We're just on the couch, and then Ash is just on her. So we have 3 beds laid out. Ash is just kind of on her little bed, just being Ash in a little onesie.
Yeah. She was in a onesie.
Yeah. I mean, you were just talking away, and our shaman was like, you probably shouldn't speak so much like it. Or,
yeah.
we're
having good chats.
We were having great chats.
I think our words slowly started to slur.
And then you're like,
I'm going to have a lie down now.
Yeah.
I think mine kicked in a little bit earlier than yours somehow.
But then we had our second round.
Yeah. And then it really kicked off.
Yeah.
So why don't you, can you remember yours?
Yeah, so I remember up until, I'm going to just say roughly, maybe 45 minutes.
You remember the first 45 minutes and then you don't remember anything?
Yeah.
Holy fuck, I remember everything. It's so good. I remember your experience, so you can just share your first 45 then.
Where to start? Okay, so I remember just laying there and closing my eyes and then seeing probably, I reckon, over 1,000 geometrical shapes. So,
because I was going to describe geometrical shapes as well, how would you describe it to someone who's like, what the fuck is... Actually, I'm going to Google, is there such thing as a geometrical shape? Describe to someone what a geometrical shape might look like.
What is that movie called with the blue people?
The Smurfs?
No. The other one, the one that's spiritual. It's like when you look into the stars and then all of a sudden it turns into that, the movie, and it's like the blue...
Avatar.
Yes.
Yep, gotcha.
It turns into Avatar.
Yes, it does. Really good call. Great call.
But then it's kind of a little bit too intense and you're like, okay. I kept on saying, and Ash will quote, this shit is wild.
For 3 hours straight.
Well, no, at the start I was actually saying it because I wanted to make sure that my voice was still there. And I actually said it along in my daily...
I didn't know this.
Yeah, because
you were concerned that you were going to lose your voice?
No, I was scared that I was losing, Ella.
Yeah, right.
That if I spoke, because I didn't surrender to the vendor.
So the whole idea, this experience is horrible if you don't surrender. And I spoke to you about it before, saying to the point where I suggested to write surrender on your hand. Didn't want a bar of it, didn't surrender for 4 hours.
But I remember, like, at the start, I was like, it's okay, I can breathe through it. And then I'd start to breathe and I would get so hot. I would try and, like, take my jumper off. And I was just, like, kind of, like, kicking. Like, I was really restless. But then I'd look over to Blake. And Blake was, like, in this... I given him my doona. Well, he didn't have a doona, so I got him a doona. And he had his, like, burrito, like, all wrapped around him. The doona like a burrito. And he was like, I feel like my thumbs are dancing. And I was like... I just remember looking at him. And then all of a sudden, the whole room... turned into Legoland.
Yes, Legoland is the perfect way to describe it.
I don't think that it's like Simpsons, Legoland,
Avatar, geometrical shapes,
all in one.
Yeah.
And that really freaked me out because I'd never done hallucinogenics.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it went from like that, and then I wanted to get up. I think it's because I just had it in my mind that I wanted to do yoga in a sense out the back. And I remember saying before I went to sleep, no, because I wanted to do it out near the plant.
Yeah.
Because I was under the stars.
I remember that, actually.
And then I remember him saying to him, I like just said to him, like, please, like, shaman, like, if I fall asleep, like, just wake me up. Just because after this goes, and he's like, yeah, you won't be able to do anything for a long time. And in my head, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we won't be able to do anything? I fully didn't believe that. I was like, we're going to be able to, like, just, like, hang out, you know?
None of that once you get in, once your ball's deep.
And then little Ash was like, it hasn't worked for me yet. Remember she was
the last one to kick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when she kicks strong.
Yeah. And then mine kind of just, it went into a state where I was like, I was just fighting and I wouldn't let it go. I wouldn't like just breathe through it. And then I got to a point where if I closed my eyes, and it was kind of scary. It wasn't like bad though. I wouldn't say it was like, it wasn't scary in the sense where I was like, thought like it was depressing. It was more just like I saw like blood boiling, or like I'd see like brown, and then like it was kind of like a plant, and then like the veins were through it, and then it was like boiling.
Yeah.
And I think it was just like my anger just coming to the surface.
Yeah. Which you probably didn't get a chance to fully release, your anger.
Well, you'd know more than me.
Yeah. So I remember the whole thing.
But can I say,
of course you can.
I feel like though when I woke up from it, I definitely did feel released of something.
Yeah.
Don't know what.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you want to describe what happened for the 4 hours to me?
So we can laugh about it now because time's passed. But there is no way that you should be doing this experience with 20 people in the room, because when everyone's having their own thing, making noises, crying, yelling, screaming, whatever it is, it takes away from your experience.
And I actually felt really bad about that.
Yeah, but I also wanted to kind of reiterate that you're just having your experience. So Elle's experience...
And that's what you were nervous about. Remember, you were like, you were kind of nervous. You were like, I just don't want kind of to... tell me if I'm wrong, but like kind of make a fool out of yourself.
Yeah.
And in my head, we all like kind of laugh as soon as I woke up that it was like that 21-year-old that's drunk on the floor.
We did have a good laugh about it. So if you think about like the person who's essentially drinking for the first time and they're at the Christmas party and they're the one that like gets carried out or vomits on their shoes or whatever.
Just totally embarrasses themselves.
And it's not another 12 months until someone else takes that title. We had a laugh that was you, Elle.
We did.
And the reason for it is because she said the same 4 lines for 4 hours straight of like, this shit is wild.
Quote number 1.
Quote number 1. Die ego or something along the lines of that. Number 2. Number 3 was like,
I won't let it go.
I won't let it go. And number 4 was like, this doesn't make sense. And those 4 lines, legit, no bullshit, were on repeat for 3.5 to 4 hours.
I think it was 4.
And I remember looking, because I was going through my experience, and I remember, obviously, Els having a good old chin wag to no one, but lying next to me and, like, kicking, little bits of kicking and, like, literally doing donuts in the room, lying down. And I remember trying to get her attention and just being like, breathe, breathe through this, surrender, let go, and looking at you. And it's like you could see me, but you couldn't. It was like you're actually on a different planet.
And I remember, like, the only things that I remember through that, like, 4 hours is, like, I'd sometimes remember the shaman's just head coming in and to be like, this is just the medicine working. Like, just relax. Like, it's okay. Like, I think he thought that I would have been really thrown from it. But I knew deep down that it was never going to be easy.
Yeah. Yours was hard.
But I expected that in a way.
Yeah. Again.
Like,
so, if I'm truthfully honest, a little bit of my experience was tarnished.
Yeah. I have to apologise.
You don't have to apologise because you already have. And you don't have to anyway. Because part of me was a little bit concerned for Elle that she was literally stuck in a loop. And she was stuck in a loop because she wouldn't surrender to it. She was fighting it.
That does come from me being stubborn.
Yeah. Stubbornness does not work when you're in a trip.
But
from what we've seen.
Yeah, but I think it's also, if you are stubborn, it is a good way to, like, really make you aware
that you're stubborn.
Yeah, and really just, like, harness that and, like, maybe just be a little bit more conscious and...
Yeah. Totally.
But then I remember at the end, so say, like, that's my trip, right? And then at the end, I was gently waking up and I look over at Blake and he was the only person I could see because the shaman was sitting behind us on the couch because normally... And at the start, the shaman looked really... fucking scary. I don't know if we can swear.
Yeah.
But he was like, I was like, because I don't like horror movies. And then the wind outside, it started like going. And I was like, holy, like, what the hell is going on? And then he got a chair out and the chair was like one of those swivel chairs. And I remember just looking at him and he put a jacket on. And this is just as the thing like started kicking in. And I said to him, I'm like, is that a leather jacket? And he goes, no, it's just from Kathmandu. And I was like, that looks like a fucking heavy duty jacket. Like, what are you doing with that jacket?
He sat in this spot in the room that literally the darkness came over him and you couldn't see. And I remember the same thing, like every time I looked at him, I saw someone different.
Yeah.
It was full on.
But he's not like that at all. Like, he was the most... But I did have a split second where I was like, this could be the time where we all die.
Yeah. And he actually said... You need to top up. He actually said that if he is... looking after a female on her own, his wife would be there because a lot of people, when they trip out, they think that, like, he's essentially trying to fuck them over. I can't remember the word he used.
But also, because it was me, Blake and Ash, so there was 2 females, it was okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Obviously someone can either, like, go out the other end, back door can open.
Yeah. But he fully thinks that, people fully think when they're in a trip that he has done something to them and they start flipping out. So I think
I would have if I didn't have, like, just...
the other 2 of us there.
Yeah, I've never suggested to do it with people that you don't know.
Yeah.
You have to know everyone in that room because you would have hated me and everyone would have hated me if they didn't know me. But they understood that was the journey that I had to be. Like, Ayahuasca took me on for me to gain knowledge and awareness.
100%.
All that jazz.
Yeah. I would have been annoyed had that...
I would have been livid.
Yeah, absolutely livid. So my experience was a fair bit different to yours in that...
The only other thing I was going to say is I didn't think it was real.
What do you mean you didn't think it was real?
Remember I woke up. So that was what I was saying.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, that was what I was saying. Yeah. So I woke up and I got up really hectically. Like, I was just kind of sprung up and I looked over and I was like, Oh, no, maybe I didn't get up hectically. I don't know. I don't remember. Not sure. But I looked over at
looked across
Blake.
at me,
yeah.
yeah.
And you were just kind of like, you were kind of all snuggled into this, like, all I could see is your head, which is how I left you 4 hours previously.
Earlier, yeah.
And I looked at him and I was like, in my head, I was like, Blake has been my coach for like 4 months now, but I have never met him. So in my head, I was like, it can't have been Blake here because I don't know Blake.
Yeah, that really tripped you out.
And then I remember seeing bits of Ash through my trip, which made me feel safe because obviously she came on my retreat. So
Yeah.
she was more of like a familiar face. But to me, I was like, this is all a dream. So I tried to like trick myself to get out of the dream.
Yeah.
And even the night after that, I still felt like I was kind of in a
I
dream.
remember you saying.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I actually don't know how Ash felt with this, but I was aware the whole time. When I went out the back to the ayahuasca plant, I slept and I like went into deep dreams. But while I was in the room, even though I saw heaps of weird shit, I was aware the whole time.
Tell us your story from
And
start.
so what happened with mine was literally from the start. The first thing that happened with me was my elbow. Remember, my elbows got really hot.
Yeah.
And they were hot for 3 hours. And I actually haven't done any research, anything to work out why they were hot.
Just don't research it. Something
I'm just going to leave it.
Yeah.
And then from there, my thumbs
I
took
love
off.
this one.
So you and I kicked off at the same time. Ash was like 10, 15 minutes after us. And when we kicked off, shit got weird real quick.
It's like 0 to 1,000.
Didn't it? 0 to 1,000, like within a couple of minutes of each other.
Do you remember what you did though when that happened?
No.
You go really but previously the shaman was like, if you need to write something down, like just let it go, like
that's
just
right.
surrender to that. Because we were us three all had our journals, and we were kind of like, he would say stuff that was really good. And I remember he said this one quote. I'll say it later, but he said this one quote, and I was like, I've got to write that down. I'm going to forget it.
Yeah.
And then what do you remember now?
That I tried to write down.
You go, and this is the thing that this was before I went into my loop. I remember you so clearly. You got up, like I don't even know how you did that.
Yeah, I couldn't get up.
You put yourself on your elbows, and then you like went and got your pen. You're like, nah, I got to write this down. It's so good. Like you're like, this shit's unreal. Like I've got to write it down. Do you remember what you wrote down?
I wrote down, my thumbs have gone walking and my elbows are hot. The thing for me was because even though I did San Pedro and I did, I kind of did ayahuasca before, this is still new to me as well, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So when I saw my two thumbs dancing around the room, I was fucking massively entertained. So from there, when my thumbs were dancing around the room, you're in such a deep state that you really don't want to move. Like, you really don't want to move. So I could see the bathroom from where I was, but I didn't want to go. And what happened to me and what happens for a lot of people is there's this disassociation between your soul, essentially, and your physical body. And I remember going, fuck, I really kind of need to go to the toilet. Like, my stomach's starting to hurt a bit.
And we did say before this, we're like, it's okay. Like, whoever pees their pants, like, it's fine.
Yeah. No judgment.
No judgment.
Because people have shat themselves, like literally shat themselves.
Yeah.
And I get why now. I can understand why.
No judgment.
No judgment.
More just a lot of sympathy.
Yeah. Sympathy, empathy, no
Yeah.
judgment. So I remember needing to go to the toilet and my stomach was kind of churning. I was like breathing through it. And then I was like, fuck it. All right, if you feel the need to go to the toilet, and I was talking to my body, go. So I see my lower body, my legs literally just get up and start walking, and I see them walk to the bathroom while in the background my thumbs are dancing around the room and on the roof. And it was all happening at once. And then from there, the neurotransmitters, so the music changed, and depending on the music, if it was like this dark kind of stormy feel, you'd have a different kind of visualization. If it was of a light, like airy kind of feel.
He controlled that hard.
He controlled it massively. And again, that makes a big difference. And I remember this like real light, upbeat music coming on. And all of a sudden, my eyes kind of look up to my brain, and all the neurotransmitters in my brain are dancing together and just like having a great old time above my head. And I had not like it was so I've got my thumbs dancing around the room. My lower body's taken off and gone to the toilet on its own, and the neurotransmitters in my brain have started dancing. And this is all in the first probably 15 minutes of us like really dropping in deep. So while all this trip's happening, like it's called the spirit molecule, and you're kind of hoping that you'll have some kind of breakthrough, some massive moment of awareness, some moment of understanding.
Are you going to share what your intention was?
My intention was unconditional love. So with this plant medicine, I think there's different shamans. Some will say, oh, don't come in with an intention, just see what pops up. And others will be like, nah, set an intention.
He didn't really say that, though. He was kind of just more like...
What are you here for?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we all went around the room and shared. And I was like, mine's unconditional love, which is showing up in different avenues of my life. So when this popped up, essentially every female that's played some role in my life, and those that know me quite well know that I'm heavily involved with females in different avenues.
Sounds interesting.
Doesn't it, when I say it like that? Whether it's girlfriends, clients, mum, whatever else. I have a strong female, like, friendship group. So, naturally, I set the intention that comes up. And I told you that you came up, even though we've been a client for, like, 12, 14 weeks. And those that have seen the Jetsons from the early 90s would know. But literally, to set the scene is I'm in this, like, almost amazing plaza. And it's almost like I'm in reception. And I'm standing on this small podium. And there's this really beautiful water display fountain to one side. And literally every single female that's played a role in my life comes up on this little hoverboard. And it's almost like I'm judging them, which is fucking horrible. But like they come up, we make eye contact. And if there's a level of peace, they disappear and they don't come back.
And I remember saying to you, I was like, why do you think they're on a pedestal?
Yeah.
I was like, do you think you put them on there?
Yes. So you have lots of wisdom. So a whole bunch of females come up, literally clients. Elle came up, girlfriends, mum, which was the interesting one. And I haven't shared this with her, but I'll share it through this platform anyway. So different people come up, and depending what baggage I have with them, they come up quickly and they leave. Like you came up real, like we're good. So you come up quickly, we make eye contact, we acknowledge each other, accept, and you take off. One girlfriend in particular stayed a lot longer. So a couple of girlfriends came up and left pretty quickly. One girlfriend came up, and what actually happens is they come up and they kind of go to the side while other people come up, but then they come back. So this girlfriend...
it's like a podium of like
it's
supermodel,
almost,
like Australia's...
Yeah, it's almost like a Miss Universe type thing where they come up, they've got... how ironic. They've got different categories almost. Yeah. So they're all looking amazing for whatever reason. I actually remember what some of the girls were wearing. Like Holly, as a party, who's one of the guests, she was wearing this green like dress. I don't even know if she owns a dream dress, but for whatever reason, I remember that.
She looked good.
She looked good. I told her. And they all came up. So Mum was actually the first one to come up, and I've been open and honest about that relationship and how that's been challenging at different times. And she'd leave at different occasions, and she'd come back up. So she was the first one there, and she was actually the last to leave. And another female who was a girlfriend was one of the first up, and similar with her, although I think we've got good... Things ended well. She's just chosen not to have me in her life, and that's fine. But for whatever reason, she came up a number of times. So that was my big, aha moment from my experience of every female coming up, making really nice acknowledgement, acceptance, I hate the word approval. That sounds really gross, but like this nice acceptance with each female. And then after that, while my elbows were still burning and Elle was still talking, the shaman was like, maybe you should go and have some time under the tree. So I would have spent, it's outside down the back of his house. I would have spent probably an hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours under the tree. And I went deep there, but I can't remember any of it. It was like I was in this really deep dream.
Yeah.
And he'd come past every 15 minutes and be like, oh, Blake, are you right? And I'd be like, whoa, where am I? Because I was so deep in it, but I can't remember any of that.
Yeah.
And that's my experience.
I remember actually when I woke up and I had we all kind of went through our experiences because I didn't remember anything. And then we all went through our experiences and I was like, has everyone been under the tree? And everyone's like, yeah, I've been under the tree. And I was like, okay, do we all want to go down to the tree? And everyone was like, nah.
You didn't go under the tree, did you?
No, I did.
Oh, did
Because
you?
I said to everyone, I was like, does everyone want to come under the tree? Because I didn't want to go because it was kind of cold.
It's freezing.
Anyway, and I was like, okay, this is just saying, Ella, go by yourself.
Yeah.
You need that time by yourself. Anyway, I remember going under there and they had exactly what I would envision. It was like a little yoga mat. It wasn't really a yoga mat, but it was more like a straw mat. And then the vines of the plant was so intense. This ayahuasca was 20 years old.
Yeah.
And it had this wooden thing that went over the top. And the vines had gone through there. And then if you looked up, the stars were there.
Yes.
And I remember just being out there and the wind was wild. And I just I loved that though because I just needed that fresh air. I'd been so stale
Felt
in
the
there.
same.
And I kind of just did a few gratitudes towards the plant and just said even though it was hard, I do understand this was something that I needed to kind of deal with. And just through my childhood, obviously there'd been so many blockages of being no, I don't need anyone's help. I'm fine. I just became this little stubborn human.
Yep.
And then
True that.
I started doing yoga under the tree. And then I remember kind of falling. And then it was the plant was there to catch me. And it was a joke between me and the plant. Don't forget, you've lost your ego now.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. And then the shaman came out and he's he kind of felt like I had this hectic, really bad. But for me, it didn't feel that way. Even though for you guys,
yeah, it did.
It was kind of toxic.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, it wasn't toxic, but you were 1 degree away from being possessed.
Yeah.
That's how we felt.
Yeah, it didn't, I don't know how it felt for me. At the start, it was just really just a bit deep.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, but that's, I guess, what you kind of want in a sense.
Yeah. Deep connection. So what happened? Because we hung out the next night up in, I won't say actually, because we shouldn't say. We hung out away from Sydney for the next night. But what came up for you the next day, next night, the next week, 2 weeks?
It's a big question.
Yeah.
The next day, I kind of felt a bit scattered. I think we all did, really.
Yeah.
Felt a bit weird. But for me, it was... I kind of set more the intention, even though I was inner child, was more to do with my mum. And I had a really good conversation with her the day after because she was really nervous. She called us. She'd was wanting the shaman's number. And I was like, this is the first time in your life you've actually been worried.
Yeah.
Now that I'm an adult. I'm
Yeah.
shocker.
Yeah.
But, and then I remember just having this conversation and she was so against it. She was I remember on my retreat, she was bringing it up because one of the guys on the retreat, he had actually studied NLP. He knew a bit about it. He was kind of testing me. He's so why are you doing it? You know what I mean? And mum was kind of that person on the side being why are you doing it?
Yeah.
And I was just I'm just doing it because I just feel that's the path that I'm meant to be on, not for any reason, but other than just to heal.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to, and my mum goes, she goes, that's exactly like me. She goes, that's what your dad would always say. You're so much like your mother. It's because we were so growing up, she had me so young that we were both just so stubborn. The world's against us. You know what I mean? So inside we built up this little ego, which for me, I don't know if it's exactly the right word. It's probably more just a sense of like, no, I don't need your help. I'm just fine. Like just in the sense, just F off.
Yeah.
Which I kind of just built a barrier around everyone and everything, which I was just ended up being like a sad,
lone
angry
wolf.
Human child.
Beautifully said. Couldn't have said it better myself.
And even like now I notice like my family are like so much more open to me because I'm more open to them and I don't judge them, or I don't like, I used to have so much expectations and now I've just let go, like everyone's human, like everyone's a little bit fucked up in any sense. So that's
a good awareness of it for you. That's
quick.
Like that's 4 months worth.
I'm not gonna say I still don't get triggered.
Yeah, you do.
But I'm just saying that now I'm just more in the sense as like, what's happened. Don't play the victim.
Yeah.
So for a while there I was.
Yeah. Good observation.
What about you, Mr. Wine drinker?
Jesus, haven't we just enjoyed a red while I chat? I felt really centered.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and there was a couple of people in my world at that time who I love dearly but are quite chaotic. And I just didn't feel like touching base with them.
We were so mellowed.
We were so bliss.
Yeah.
I didn't want that ruined. And to be honest, it was probably more mellow and more bliss than I was when I came out of my 10-day Vipassana, which says plenty. I was like, I do not want anyone to ruin this.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah. I felt so strongly about it to the point where I know you guys went and got massages. I literally just hung out and I was so happy.
Yeah, I felt like that was good though, even though I actually left my massage because it was so bad.
Yeah, shocker.
But I felt like that was good. You needed just to watch the football and do whatever you needed to do. We just like went and kind of ran amok.
Yeah. I just needed to like
You were so very present.
Yeah. And I actually feel like I've carried a lot of that since. I feel more aligned, ironically, which is interesting with all the like moving parts of my world at the moment.
Don't you remember his story saying that? Sorry to interrupt.
Who said this?
The shaman. He goes, if your worlds align, he had a really bad accident, and he said if he had taken a piss for 2 seconds longer, or if someone came and spoke to him and he ignored that old friend, or if he ignored someone, then his car accident, well, this is a big analogy to say, but that means...
Sliding doors moment.
Yeah. And you know what? That really took to me because I don't believe in, like, I don't have a religion. Like, I'm not really into that, but I do believe in the universe.
Yes.
So I understand what you mean when you say like...
Totally.
Because people always say that, like, what do you mean by in line?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that what you would...
Totally. And
say?
Yeah, like everything happens for a reason, but they just felt like good alignment, like I was more in my body instead of in my head than I'd been for a long time. And I didn't want anyone to interrupt that. Like I was cool hanging with you guys, and obviously Ash left that Arvo and you and I just hung out and your energy was pretty mellow, which was good because I wouldn't have been able to handle anything more than what you...
I don't think anyone would have.
Nah. But it was good that we didn't return straight to like...
Yeah, I honestly,
chaos.
if I'd come back, I reckon I would have been a mess.
Yeah.
You have to take that time just to kind of... It's like anything. When you go that far deep, I think you need to just kind of then
Totally.
Especially Sydney.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going back to Byron.
It's chaos, Sydney. So since then, it's felt like I would do it again. I will do it again. I'll do it numerous times, I reckon. For a number of reasons. But I felt more aligned.
What else do you think was... You know, they said there's like a lesson.
I think it's the female bit. Like
Shocker.
For that to come up, it was interesting. And it's a nice, peaceful energy amongst females for me at the moment.
Would you say then, like, though, like, don't put them on a pedestal?
I have made the mistake in the past of putting certain females on pedestals. A couple that I've dated, a couple that I've hung out with for a few months, which is a different category to dating.
Yeah. What about your mum?
That's a work in progress. Because if that's your core female relation, then your energy with your mum and your dad, no matter who you are, needs to be clean and healthy for
And
your
did she
relations
ask?
into the world.
She asked about anything?
No, she kind of asked subtly. Well, for those that don't know, I went into hospital a week later, so she asked then.
She's like, so Blake, what were you actually doing?
I literally, despite feeling aligned,
That's so true. You didn't really just tell anyone.
yeah,
Did you?
Nah.
Like, you didn't tell many people.
nah. Did I tell you?
Yeah, you told me, but you sent me a snap of you on the
That's right. When I was getting
operating
a fucking
table.
injection in my spine. So a week later, I actually went into hospital with what we initially thought was meningitis. Ended up being just influenza B. But
Just.
but it really got me because I was sleeping and Mum, God bless her cotton socks, rang the doctor and was like explaining my symptoms and how I couldn't see properly. My eyes were blurry and I was getting black spots and everything. And the doctor's like, nah, he needs to go to hospital straight away. So she came wake me up and took me to hospital.
Thank God.
This was literally a week after I did ayahuasca. So it doesn't paint the best picture for ayahuasca. And I think realistically, there's a good chance they could be related because I've never had the fever in my life and I was bedridden for 4 days.
Also, though, I was a little hot water bottle. It was very cold that night.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it has necessarily something to do with the plane because
hard
me
to
and
know,
Ash
yeah.
were fine.
Yeah.
But Ash was wearing a onesie. Well, we were all in trackies. But I think maybe the temperature level
Could have been.
and being out, if you were out under that vine for 2 hours, I was only out there for like 20 minutes.
True. There's a few variables that could have played a role. Long story short, I was hospitalised the next week. And I don't want that to deter you from potentially the experience. But that's the reality. So with it, one of the things that I think is important is like people have reached out on social media, which is great, asking me about it. I can link you in. Obviously, it's illegal, and I, with my strong rebellious streak, don't really care that it's illegal because if it's going to heal and clear you, then I'm open to it. If I don't know you personally, I can't, and I won't. If I know you personally and you're looking for a recommendation, I would tie you in.
The shaman that we saw, I reached out because he said that if you have a bloodline, and that's really what it is for me, is I want to have a family that has a different upbringing to what mine was.
Yeah.
And they say if you bring like, your mom or anyone in your bloodline, it can heal like a big chunk of your...
You need to go with your mum.
Yeah, so I message out and they're not available until March next year.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I think it's like kind of the rage, and I think that's why I got so heavily brutalized by this guy. He was like trying to figure out like why the hell I was doing it because they were worried about like my health.
Yeah.
Which no one ever worries. So it was weird at this time of my life that someone was worrying. But I think I got defensive too.
No doubt.
Stubborn. Shocker. And
Weird.
then, but I think that it's one of those things though, you don't take it lightly.
Yeah. Don't do it unless you're called.
I think it's a good that I had the bad experience in a way and you kind of had like a light experience.
Mine was super light.
So jealous.
Yeah,
But
understandably.
I think, and then they have a farm. So like you kind of have a initiation.
True. Forgot to mention that. So he has initiation where you can't go to the farm, so to speak, unless you have initiation. So
Which I'm so excited about this farm, by the way, because
let's do the farm together.
100%. But I feel like it won't, because if someone's really vocal, which I understand, because in my yoga course, there was a Kundalini rising, which everyone thinks is something else, but it's not that.
Yeah.
And it's when your energy gets really high. I can't say too much because they like to keep it like what happens within your like journey is like not, it wasn't mine to say.
The container.
Yeah. So you can really the one thing that my teachers were always really firm on is like you can only share from your own experience, which I think is really important.
Agreed.
You can't go and say like this happened to me, but when other people are very vocal, it's very hard to stay within your own body and within your own self because you're worried. That's like your friend. And being in a month with like these people, which I was so shut off from, and then my laptop died. And I was building my retreat. And it was like, why did my laptop die? Shocker, engage with people. Like, don't be so...
Engage with life.
Yeah. And then by the end of it, it was like really intense. But that's what I was kind of chasing when Ayahuasca got brought up. It was kind of more for me like, I've never felt love and connection through what these like teachers and these like 16 other people brought to us in a month. Like, after coming back from Vegas, like it was like partying... My 21st, I'd went through like going from saying to like, I'm going to move to LA and I want to be a real estate agent to like going on this like yoga spiritual journey. And then I was like, I kind of just wanted to have a taste of that again.
Yeah.
So I think if that aligns for you, then it does. And then my mum even said to me, she was like, no, I'll never do it. I was like, okay, like that's fine. That's your choice. I really respect that because, you know, she obviously didn't feel that that was ready for her. And then I shared with her my experience and she said to me, she goes, wow, like that makes a lot of sense. And she kind of broke down a bit because she was like, you are like a byproduct of me. Like, you know, like my side effects of how she'd raised me as a single parent.
Totally.
Had like rubbed off on her and she's like, okay, now I understand. Now she felt calmer that it was a medicine. It's not just an illicit drug that you're going and taking to go to a club and get fucked up.
Yeah.
That's not you
don't think of it like that.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all, really.
Because I think that's what everyone's like, oh, it's a rage thing because it's a drug. It's a medicine. You can't, like, there's...
Don't even put it in that category.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, it doesn't do it justice. Well explained. Very well explained.
Thank you.
So, guys, that's a little bit of insight into our experience. As we've said numerous times throughout this chat, do it when you feel called. Don't do it beforehand. If I was you, I'd probably do it with people that you know.
Don't 100% do it, people.
Yeah. I'd do it in a very small group, maximum 5.
Yeah. First experience, I'd think... go to the same place that we did. To be honest, I
wouldn't recommend anyone else.
Not in Australia.
Nah.
Hands down, not in Australia.
Yeah.
Like, I know you were talking about doing it in Byron.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I don't think I'd be down. I think I'd be more interested in using my plant.
Yeah.
Tripper, which I've named him.
Tripper the plant.
And I think I'd be more interested in doing San Pedro with a group of people instead of feeling how we felt.
Yeah.
That day after. Or even having to, like, then, like, not have to be able to drink or anything.
Totally. Yeah.
I don't know about you.
No. Agreed. Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want to have anyone to have a bad experience like you did the first time. Because if you had told me that, I would have been like, that's a no from me.
Yeah. It's a no from me. My first experience was horrible. Don't do it in a group of 20. I'd go with the shaman who we went with. So if you want deets, keep in mind as well, if I know you, I'll recommend
just swipe up.
If I don't know you, because it's illegal, I can't recommend, because you could be anyone. You could be an undercover cop going and sussing him out. I just can't recommend someone.
The code's Blake20.
Yeah, if you want 20% off, Blake20, tell your friends. But if I don't know you, I unfortunately won't be able to recommend you. Just the nature of, obviously, it being such a private little industry. If you want something overseas, obviously you go to Peru. Blue Morpho is a place to go, and check out Blue Morpho. There's another one. But check out Aubrey Marcus's stuff because he talks a lot about it. I'm pretty sure by now you know that I kind of want to have his babies.
Yes, me too. Let's have babies together with him.
We should.
And Whitney.
Unfortunately, they separated. Rest in peace.
But Have you ever heard of anyone going to Brazil?
Nah, but we can do that.
No, because that's where I've heard, like, that's where I've heard someone go, and apparently it was incredible. Because that's a part of the Amazon.
True.
Which I only found that out the other day.
She recently did a geography homework from year 10. We may go to Brazil. We may even organise retreats, which has been spoken of. But I would check it out. If you're on the healing, clearing, bringing yourself more into alignment, all of those paths, then it's worth checking out. But feel free to reach out if you want to talk about it. As I said, if I don't know you, I won't be able to recommend you to this person that we used. But he is literally the only person I would use now because the experience was so good with him and it was so poor with the others. I know Elle feels the same. And that is our story on plant-based medicine. I reckon we'll probably have more stories to come over the years because this isn't the end. And that says, that says plenty that we're going to do it again. People that we know, I know Aubrey's done it 27 times. Whitney's done it a number of times. People that have done it 16, 17 times. So it's a constant journey. And then people that
can function on it. That's what shocks me. Like, I know someone who reached out to me and they were like, you really shouldn't be speaking about this. This is really a sacred, medicine.
Yeah.
And I respected that and I took it under consideration in the sense, though, that I was like, if this can make one human a little bit better towards this planet and towards another person, then why shouldn't we share that?
That's exactly how it should be said.
Sense?
Yeah.
But in saying that, though, he can actually work on it. So he can fully function, and we were potatoes.
We were.
Vegetables.
I wasn't moving for that whole
day. And our
day.
shaman has it, and then he will be on the same level with us. So he had a new brew. I didn't get to try that because I was wiped out. But you got to try the new brew, didn't you? And Ash had already tried DMT. So she actually, I forgot to tell you, but she had DMT after the ayahuasca experience.
Jesus.
She had it before too. Remember she told you? She's told us in our circle.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ash won't mind, by the way. And she said that she had 2 cones and it took her but before that, the DMT, she had to have that much before it would get any kind of hallucinogenic that was kind of deep.
Yeah.
She had 2 cones of it and she went straight back into her ayahuasca, and she has a spirit. Anyway, she has a spirit, whatever.
She's on.
And I just thought that was a bit wild.
Yeah.
Because in my wildest dreams, I always thought if I'd ever heard of the word DMT, I'd be I'd think of it as I know that sounds really bad, but I'd think of it as ice.
Yeah, I know. I get that. It's not.
I was very judgmental. But now I'm thinking that. I'm I get why people are so harsh on the topic.
Totally. It's illegal, social conditioning, plenty of reasons. But do your research. As I've said, Aubrey Marcus, there's plenty of good reasons to look into the benefits of ayahuasca, everything from PTSD, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. The list is endless, but do your research. If you feel the call in, reach out. If you don't reach out.
Someone reaching out.
I just noticed someone reaching out. Emma Castles. But that's our experience, and as I said, we'll probably do more experiences together, I think, in the coming months.
I know, but it's whether you will have my...
Based on your previous experience, I'm still trying... The jury's still trying to make sense of whether you get another gig. But I think we'll probably do some work together in this space, so keep a ear out, reach out if need be, and we will speak to y'all later. Have a good week. Ciao.
Bye.